Perfect. All right. So welcome back. This new week, I don't have Raul with me. I have Enoch, my friend. He's the CEO of Kiese. So I want to let him talk more about Kiese and his background. And today we're going to be talking about how you guys could use AI for sales in construction, business development, anything that's related to sales, how AI could start helping you and streamline that process. But before we get into that, maybe Enoch, if you want to talk a little bit more about your background and what you do at Kiese.
Sure. Yeah, as Roberto said, I'm Enoque Panzo. I'm a co-founder of Kiese Technologies. We're construction-specific CRMs. We work with general contractors, subtrades, as well as design firms to help them manage their business development process. Yes, I have many years in construction, working in different roles. Superintending, project management, business development, VDC, kind of estimating, just went through and did everything in construction to learn all the various parts of it. Ran jobs, worked on big jobs, small jobs. Yeah, and I love construction. So TSA was kind of my way to go into technology because I also love technology, but stay connection with the industry that I love, which is construction. So I'm able to still be engaged with construction folks and not fully disconnect from that world.
Perfect. And what type of companies are you guys helping with Kiese?
Yeah, we're usually it varies, right? Mostly commercial companies. So for our software to actually work, they usually have to have some sort of a business development process, right? A BD, business development person, marketing, like pretty much a team. So if it's just like a company that doesn't really do business development, they don't have anyone in that role or don't plan on having anyone in that role, they might not find very beneficial because they'll need someone to manage the business development process, and our software really just helps them. They're doing the BD process already, oftentimes using multiple Excel files and multiple different, technologies. We just kind of bring it into one place. So all the data, everything is in one space and everyone gets to keep everything succinct and more streamlined.
So CRM is a competitive space, right? There are a bunch of solutions, and probably most people have heard about Salesforce at some point. So what makes Kiese unique for the construction industry?
Yeah, there are a lot. Salesforce is just one. I mean, the big one. There's also HubSpot, Monday.com. There's a lot. The thing with CRMs, right? CRMs they're hard to build. So if you look at people like a Salesforce or HubSpot, right? They're generic CRMs, right? Or Monday.com. And the reason they're generic is they're targeting everybody, right? So when you're targeting everyone, the sales process looks different for different industries, right? So, but most of the time it follows a process where someone wants to buy goods, right? And then you want to sell those goods or a service, and then you tell them, okay, this is the cost to sell my services, and then they say, okay, sure, or my goods, right? Let's sell it, and then you sell, or they say, no, I don't want to buy it, and then you didn't sell it. Construction is a bit more nuanced, right? Where you have multiple stakeholders. So even within a company, when you're pursuing a job, not only is it takes time, right? Some pursuits are quick, but some pursuits could go as like 5 years. You're chasing a job, right? And there's multiple people involved during that process. You have estimating, you have business development, marketing, project executives, and so forth, right? There's a lot of people and a lot of pieces involved. And because of the timeline as well, it's kind of hard to use a software that is generic, right? Because there's certain things you need to track that those softwares wouldn't track. So I guess essentially what we've done is to say, okay, Salesforce doesn't work, right? If you're going to make Salesforce work for you, you're going to spend a lot of money to customize it. Our software, essentially, we've tapped into the knowledge of the industry when it comes to business development processes that work and kind of eliminate the ones that don't work, right? And put it into a system succinctly. So not only with my own background and issues, previous to doing business development using software that wasn't construction specific, we were able to actually talk to other people, right? So our clients and people who are in the industry kind of provide us that, yeah, it would be cool if you did this. It'd be cool if you did that. So that's kind of the differentiator with Kiese. It's like construction specific, out of the box. You don't really have to customize it, uh, and pay a lot of money to make it work for your company. And it uses knowledge from all over the industry to kind of make the software that works for construction business development people.
Nice, nice, pretty cool. All right. So with that, let's jump to the topic. So do you have experience in sales, and now you're selling a sales tool to salespeople in
Yeah,
construction.
yeah.
So you're probably super exposed to the whole process they go through and everything, right? And I can imagine probably by now you get customers and prospects asking you about AI, right? How AI can help them. Maybe some of the things you already have in your product or are thinking about implementing, but
Hmm.
let's forget about your product for the time being and let's just talk about AI in general, right? Like if they
Yeah.
go to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, how can they start using AI? But maybe first, what are some of those questions that people are asking you when it comes to AI?
Yeah, that's a good one. So we've all been like, now AI was always there, kinda. It's been going for a while. It's not all of a sudden like AI is a new thing, right? I think for some people it seems new, but especially for our industry, right? Like we're almost like the last to find out about what's out there. So AI is just one of those things where everyone's like, "What? This is an AI!" Like, and we're just getting bombarded with AI, so everyone now is hearing about AI. And we're talking about it. So people, with that, people are asking questions. Like one of the questions I've been asked, in the sales side, right, is can AI automate a lot of the manual things I do, right? That's always one of the things that comes up. Like I do a lot of this manual repeated tasks, manual repeated notes, manual repeated blah blah blah. Is there a way for AI to just like do it for me, right? So that's kind of the things where I'm exploring too, and say, well, how can it? I think you and I talked about some of the things, right? Like note taking, like can AI take notes and things like that. So that's like some of the questions you've been asked. The other one I've had people say, well, can the AI just like do my sales for me? And the answer is no. AI can't do your sales for you. You have to participate. AI is actually is good at helping you being a companion and be able to reduce the amount of repeated tasks that you do, but you still need to do sales, right? You need to participate. Which was interesting. I was like, no, I can't sell. You have to sell. But yeah, but I've had that question asked before. Um, and then the other one is like, when you're doing construction BD, you're normally submitting proposals and things like that, right? And I think there's already some companies doing it, but I've had people ask like, we work on these proposals. Is there a way for AI to we can automate it where AI starts making these proposals for us? And we said, yeah, that's actually like something that is a repetitive task. You're always doing it, but construction proposals they change. They're not going to be the same. If you're submitting the same proposal, eventually, if it's the same owner, some might care, some might not. But so just kind of understanding the nature of who your client is, but there are ways I think AI can help in that regard.
Interesting. Yeah, so I see those same type of questions, right? On one hand, is automating the things that I hate. So I'm I just had this meeting. Now I have to go into Excel or whatever to input all the data. That just takes time, and why do I have to do it, right? So yes, all these meeting note takers and things like that help with that. But the other point you brought up, that's interesting, right? Can an AI replace me when doing sales? And you say no. I think I agree with you on that one. But it's interesting now seeing more and more tech companies trying to push these AI BDRs and sales, right? And
Yeah,
I think I've seen some on what was it, Zoom or one of those where there's a virtual thing that talks to you and tries to sell things to you, right? So it's interesting, and they're getting better, right?
yeah,
The time it takes for them to reply and all that's getting better, and then with the way AI generates video, you could easily imagine in a couple of years having something that
yeah.
looks very good.
I think but that's it. Maybe in some industry it could work. It definitely can't work in construction. Construction is such a like AIs aren't going to start building buildings all of a sudden, right? Like you know what I mean. So I think people need to understand like AI is like we could use them as a tool like to help us be more efficient. But AI isn't going to do things like you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
because if you're gonna in construction is a very like there's a personal like a physical approach to it, right? If you only sent out emails or made phone calls to potential clients and you never met them in person, like they're never gonna let you build their building. Like you know what I mean? So I think that's a part where in construction, like you have to still have a human being that is involved in those conversations, right? Like even if you have a video AI thing, eventually like the video AI has to go out for golf to go golf with someone. Like it can't, right? It has to go to a client event. It can't. Like it has to go for coffee. It can't. So a lot of the construction deals happen in those coffee shops, in those lunches, in those dinners, in those golf. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah, and the information that comes from those meetings is what you want to take in and put into your CRM or put in somewhere, right? Because that's the data that's going to help you to refine your sales and your, figuring out like what's going on and be able to optimize your sales process. But you can't like outsource the whole sales in construction, at least. I'm not saying you can't in other industries, right? Like if it's just like, hey, I want to buy shoes and some AI guy's going to talk to me about, yeah, this is a bet. I don't care because I already just go on the website and buy shoes anyways, right? So if this AI is going to talk to me to tell me why this shoes is good, like, sure, that's fine. It just doesn't work in construction because the construction sales is different, and I don't see it ever changing because again, construction is one of those where you touch and feel the build, right? Like when the building is done, we go and we touch it. We look at it as it's getting built. We see the crew coming in and out. So I don't see that changing. Like,
Yeah.
I can't say ever, but like I just don't like unless the owners become robots and then they outsource the build to robots, then AI can sell to them. You know what I mean? Like as long as it's still a human being, they're always going to want that human to human connection because that's what builds the trust for them to eventually let you build their building for them.
Yeah, yeah. Construction is still very relationship based, definitely. Like
Yeah,
maybe at some point we will have these video AIs, but then once the thing has to be in person, it's gonna be like, oh, guess what? I'm sick today, so I'm sending my colleague my colleague human to
yeah.
take
Actually, they'll catch on to that though. Dude, this I met. And I think the other thing is like you have at that point like you can't fake genuineness, right? You know what I mean? Like one example, I had a meeting with my clients. Even for me and you that sell to construction people, it's important we meet them, right? Like if we started doing AI to meet our client, they'll never buy our software, right? I had a meeting with the client. We're just talking, and they were asking, oh yeah, like we talk about families and stuff, right? And then eventually, like they're like, you have kids, like we've never seen your kids. And then I just like was able to pull up picture, like because usually I work from home, my kids just like barge into my meetings, like they just open the door and start asking me for things. So to be able to like hey, here are my kids, like and it's genuine. Like I do have those kids. They're real. Like AI can't like be like, oh, look at my kids, and then like they're fake. You know what I mean? Like so it's like I think that's a part where like we like AI is a powerful tool that we can use. Like I've been impressed by and I've been using it myself to optimize a lot of the things I used to manually do, and it saves me time. Like I have a very small sales team, and I can't do repetitive tasks all the time, right? So I can outsource it to AI to do some of those, and it's been great. Like I still check the work, but overall, AI should be our companion, not our replacement.
So in my mind, sales is very easy to measure, right? It's did you win the job or not, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
So how can we use AI to win more jobs?
I think that's a good question. How do we use AI to win more jobs? I think the part that AI could be useful for that, and again, we've been talking about this in our team, is in the analysis of data, right? And the analytics. So if AI can help you not only analyzing, but capturing the data, right? So if you can have AI be able to help you capture data quickly and understanding, why you won certain projects, right? And can help you to start looking at patterns and say, okay, for this one, the owner you won because you're a low guy, right? Like this is the owner picked the lowest bid, so you're a low bid, right? That's why you won. Okay, for this one, you won because your proposal was great. This is why your proposal was great. And this is why your proposal was great. Your team was good. Your blah blah, like all this stuff in your proposal. If and then this one here you lost, right? And this is why you lost. You lost because you were low bid. So don't worry about it. Like maybe the owner likes low bid, or this one you lost because you're low bid, but your numbers were all over the place. Like you should probably look at them, right? I mean, sorry, you're too high. Look at that's where you lost. So look at your numbers, right? And if AI can help us capture that information, because those are things that you as a BD person you have to look at anyways, right? Like why are you winning work? Why are you losing work, right? How can you repeat a winning formula, right? And it might vary from client to client. So if the AI can start like helping you capture that information, help you analyze that information, then AI can help you win work, right? If you can say, okay, this is how you can be better than your competitors by doing blah, 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 blah. And then you can implement it and you can test, right? I've done the things that this AI suggested. Did I win the work? You know what I mean? And if the answer is yes, okay, great. Let's keep at it, right? The answer is no, then well, like why did I? You know what I mean? Why didn't I win? So I think AI can definitely help us in the process of winning work by helping us be a great analytics and data capturing tool.
So if I'm a construction company right now, I want to start doing what you just said. What data should I be looking for in my Excels and Words and PDFs to try to start to understand these things that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to sound very easy. Like for first thing you need to do is you gotta if you don't have a CRM, you need one. Like that's as simple as that. Because if data lives all over the place, it's hard to have something analyze it and give you feedback, right? So if you have data, it is living in like your computer Excel file. No one else has that data, right? So if five people on your team each have that data living in their own personal computer file, like well, that doesn't work, right? So finding a way to put all the data in one place is important. I don't know if you're like agnostic to CRM, you're like I hate CRM. Okay, maybe you could use like a Google Files or something, right? Like a Teams file to put data and create folder structures where everything goes in the right places, and then you can have um, like AI to find tools that can analyze the data. But at least even having it in one place, you could even if you're like I'm going to spend the time and do it myself because I hate CRMs. You could even just build Power BI. You know that's better than nothing, right? Than your data just being there and not being analyzed. But again, you got to remember if you go that route, you need a person, right? Someone who's going to dedicate their time to bringing all that data together and making sure that the data is captured properly. And now they're analyzing the data, right? So that's where I was like, get the CRM because the CRM will do that, and the analysis for you automatically, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that answers like the
yeah,
question.
yeah. But then I guess my follow up would be if we could be gathering any data, right? What
Yeah.
would be the ideal data to
Yeah,
start?
sorry. Yeah, your question was the data. What type of data, right? They should
Yeah,
be. Yeah, I think you should be looking at your proposals, your estimates, your bids, right? Like stuff that's going out to the client, right? And also you should be capturing your connection to the clients, right? So a lot of times, you've had like I remember this back in when I was in the industry, like working for GC. You have subs, you know, and they come to you when they need work, right? And then like you don't hear from them for a year or two, and then all of a sudden like they're busy doing other work, right? So you don't hear from them, right? No, hey man, like just can we grab a coffee, keep the relationship going? Nothing. And then all of a sudden, like you've probably met other subs that are also equally as good, right? And they stay in touch. They invite you to things. They go to your events. They participate, and then they're actually engaged. And all of a sudden, that guy calls you, "Hey, how you doing? You got any work for me?" And it's like, okay, like sure, like I'd like to hire you, but this is like a transactional relationship. So tracking that information as well, like are you just a transactional relationship, or are you actually like building actual relationships, right? So tracking that kind of information, I think between that and proposals, bids, right? Because the bids is easy, right? You submit a bid to a client, you have numbers, right? You submit an estimate to a client, you have numbers, right? You submit a proposal to a client, now you have numbers, perhaps, and a bunch of like writings that you did, right? Including staffing, including whatever they asked you, right? If you bring all that together into one place, I think you know AI models can do different analysis for you and start giving you kind of feedback of information of you know. I think I'm not the AI guy, by the way. That's you, Robert. That's
No, no, but
I believe he can do that.
yeah, no, I think it can. And in the previous episodes, we've been talking about data uh, and different types of AI, right? So I think part of what you're talking is also getting into the predictive analytics side of things, right? It's
Yep.
not just generative AI of like have the AI write a proposal for you, but
Yep.
it's more like, hey, when I win, this is the type of things I submit. This is the scope. This is the type of company that was asking us to submit, right? And when I lose, this is how it looks like.
Yep.
And then having hopefully hundreds of those examples so the AI can go through it and start finding patterns, right? So when
Exactly.
for this type of company, it seems that you're always losing, right? So why is that happening? Or is this one
Hmm.
always winning? When your proposal could be things as basic as, hey, when it's 3 pages versus when it's 10 pages, right? Who knows, that might have
Yep.
an influence on how people think about the seriousness or professionalism
Yep.
or whatever, right? Maybe
Hmm.
a 10-page proposal has more information that help them make the decision. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's those things that maybe we're not even thinking about, but if you could capture somehow, then could
Yeah.
lead to interesting discoveries.
And maybe you have too much information and it's
Yeah,
just a bunch of gibberish, right? And they don't want to read it all, so they want a more concise
exactly.
proposal. And when your proposals are concise, you win, right? So that could, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think you can definitely do a lot to help uh, better than what's there right now, which is you submit a proposal, it comes back, oh, we lost our job. Wow, that sucks. Let's do it again. It's like, it's almost like because there's a lot of construction, there's a lot of work, people just overlook that. But when you go through a drought, where you have to be the best, you have to get out there and actually like compete, right? Then that's where like you have to start looking at data, and if you don't, then the people who are doing it are going to kill you, and they're going to get the jobs. Like that's just like they're going to win the jobs, right? And you're not, unless you're going to be the low bid guy, and that's all you're going to be the thing. And if you I was a low bid guy, then eventually you go out of business, right? And you shouldn't be going into construction to be the low bid guy. That's the worst reason to be a construction GC or a tradesperson. I think that you should be going into to do nice work and make profit, because that's what your skills are there for, right? You don't start a GC because you suck. You start a GC because you think you're good and you can build beautiful and nice spaces, right?
Hmm.
Or as a sub trade. And you don't do that, all that skills for free. Like you make profit, right? So I think oftentimes this whole notion of like, yeah, like, well, okay, we didn't win that, whatever. Like there's more work out there. Oh, yeah, but like maybe you should look introspectively, look at the data and see what it tells you. And if the data is telling you, hey, you're perfectly fine, you're doing the right thing, and okay, then at least you know. You know what I mean? At least you know, right? And if you're gonna have something to help you do predictive stuff where you can start thinking ahead, like well, you're gonna crush your competitor. And I think a lot of people just don't have the time to want to think about it that way. But eventually, construction, like in a city like Vancouver, it might be laughable to talk about that now. Like, right, Vancouver is running out of space. Eventually, you can't build anymore. Like, you're gonna have smaller projects, maybe TIs, maybe capital projects, right? So, like, how do you compete in a market? You just shut your business down, or you're gonna find ways to get advantage over your competitor, right?
Yeah, yeah. The more we use the data, the better we can compete. Definitely. So one of the things you mentioned is construction is super relationship based, right? You talk about playing golf and coffee, and that's a big difference to software selling, right?
Yep.
Because software selling, we are a lot just doing these virtual conversations in person. How do you document those meetings, right? Because maybe you don't have the thing recording everything, but then
Yep.
how would you go about recording or documenting that, and then how do you use AI to make that better?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'll give you the stages of Enoch's documentation, right? Because I still go to those meetings, I still go to those golf stuff, I still go to the client event, even though I sell software, right? Um, Previously, when I worked in the GC, I would write it down in a notebook. So I had my little notebook. I still have my notebook, and I carry it everywhere. Sometimes I like to write notes just because I want to. Like, it sounds like duplicate and it's not efficient, but sometimes now I do, right? But in the past, that's all I did. I'll write down my notes very with bullet points, right, as I'm having a meeting or a conversation or with somebody, or if I go somewhere. And then I'll go back to the office at the time. I'll type the notes somewhere. My CRM didn't really have a place for me to put in that kind of stuff, so I put it in some document that I had, right, and then I'll go back and review my document. Oh, okay, there's notes, and then let me call this person, let me follow up and stuff. Eventually, I went from that to, okay, let me write notes on my phone, so I don't have to like go and retype it up somewhere, right? So then I had a better phone. I could put in his notes on my phone now, right? Like, hey, I'm not texting, I'm just writing notes, right? And people usually understand if you give them a heads up. So I write the notes down, and then later I just copy it and paste it into my same document from before, right? But what I do now is I actually, because I use a CRM to sell software. I'm usually just like and we use Kiese actually for our own sales. So I just open it up, and then it's just like a type. I just type the notes there, right? Or if someone says, hey, let's grab a coffee, and I'm at an event, then I just create an activity there, right? So as far as like the AI part from that, I'm still working on like capturing that data for my own self and analyzing it. Using different AI models. ChatGPT is like one I use the most. I've tried also the one for what's the Google one,
Gemini.
Gemini. Yeah, to just like look at patterns, look at stuff that I met with these people this many times. What is the patterns like that we're noticing? So that I would say like that's people can do that now, right? Like even if you're not, you don't have a CRM, you could capture it with your phone
Yeah,
notes, right? And most people do that, and then find it and then put it somewhere where it's like compiled notes, so that you can easily feed it into an AI system
yeah,
to do analysis for you.
yeah. I like that. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
but
think
sorry, one more. But most people, I know for sure, I'm 100% sure. I'll say most people in the industry are using a notepad, and then they're copying it, or not copying anything at all, or not even writing anything at all. But if they do write it in a notepad, that's where it stays. It's not notepad. It doesn't leave the notepad. So that guy gets hit by a bus, or he gets fired, he quits. Well, there goes all that information he's been like getting from the meeting he's been having, right?
yeah, I think from what we've been doing with AI, two things that I would maybe add to that is one, you can also try just dictating as once you're done with the meeting, open WhatsApp, open text message, just dictate, send it to yourself, right? So now you
Yeah.
don't have to type. The other that could be very interesting is after the meeting, start a conversation with ChatGPT, right? You can do voice conversations with ChatGPT,
Hmm.
right? So maybe on your drive back or whatever, be like, hey, I just had this meeting. I'm gonna give you everything I captured from this meeting, and let's have a conversation. Ask me more things about that meeting, right?
Mm.
And maybe by doing that, you could uncover things that you might forget, but the AI might be able to ask you, well, why do you think he said that, or what else was happening, right? And it will make it more or add more data to that
Yeah.
by having that interaction as soon as you're done with the meeting, right? I don't know if it will work, but it
No,
sounds like it's
that's a
something.
good point because my wife is like the chat GPT for me when I go to meetings because she always asks me, "Oh, how was the meeting? What did you talk about?" Oh, okay. And then yeah, why did they say that? And I go, "Oh, that's a good point." So that definitely makes sense. Like, but but my conversation with my wife is not captured anywhere, right? So if it's be able to be captured and analyzed and kind of find more things, I think that sounds like that'll be a really good use case.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the opposite can also happen, right? Before you go into a meeting, have the AI generate a list of questions to ask that person, right? They could find that person profile on the internet,
Hmm.
a lot of information about that company, right? So it could even help you come up with smart questions to ask when you're in that meeting that could also help you distinguish yourself from the competition, right?
Yep.
So do kind of like a prep work with the AI so it can generate questions for you and help you just think through things. You talk about all this data and all that, so it's kind of part of that, right? So
Yep.
what data you have about this customer in the company already, what data is out there on the wild that you can use Perplexity or any AI that searches the web to find the data, and
Yep.
then have it generate a list of questions for you. Uh,
Yep.
that's another thing that could be useful for winning.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely a good point, right? And that can be used for other stuff too. Even if you have like, I don't know, a interview or something. Like obviously you want to go, but just like have a meeting with the AI, asking the question. You know what I mean? Like let it like do this conversation thing where you're just let them interview you
Yeah,
to prep, right? I think that might be useful as well. Like because it might throw some random questions at you that you're not thinking that could potentially be asked at a interview
yeah,
meeting for like a project interview meeting, right?
yeah. Because you could ask the AI to take specific personality, right? Hey, you're the CEO of a 200 people company, right?
Yep.
Selling this amount per year, right? You are in this industry, you are in this even this country or this state,
Yep.
city, right? Like it would take different personalities and it will be able to interact with you as if it was that person.
Yep.
So that would be an interesting experiment or exercise
Yeah. Like
to
you're the
run.
health authority, and I'm coming to build a hospital for with whatever X amount of beds. Like, what questions would you have for me? And let it give you those questions, and you can kind of go, oh, okay, this is like, and you could prep in that regards, right?
Yeah. So last thing before we go, if you think of Enoch when you were doing business development uh, for construction, right?
Yeah.
And with everything you're seeing now with AI, what would be your dream, let's say? How would you be using AI if you were that person knowing what you know about AI today?
Man, if I was a BD guy with AI, I don't know. I think for like I said, a lot of questions people have asked me, right? I'll try to automate things. Like I don't want to be sitting there doing data entry, right? Can this AI enter my data for me? Can I talk to it and it just does it? You know what I mean? Can it pull information from my email and create stuff for me? Uh, I think that'll be great. Like I used to do my own analytics stuff through Excel, right? Like I would bring an Excel file and analyze stuff. And again with Kiese now we do the same kind of analysis automatically, but is there a way to take it further, right? Can I take this data and like dig in to it more deeply using AI, right? That's that'll be my dream. Like I love data. I'm a data junk. Getting data tells you a lot more than what people are saying sometimes. So if there's a way to dig in deeper and like understand it more, like that would be like what I would want to do. I know it's getting better. Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it wasn't anywhere where it is now. And I think it's only going to keep getting better as we give it, especially if we're going to give it real, like if I'm able to, it doesn't like make up random things. Like if I'm able to give it like my real data and it's taking that information and like diving deeper for me, like, and help me to be better than my competitors, that would be like a dream scenario for
Yeah.
me. Like, I would want that now, even for selling software, right? Like, not just for if I was in BD for construction.
Yeah, perfect. So on one hand is the automation, and the other is help you with intelligence to win your next sale.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you gotta win jobs to keep construction companies going. If you don't win jobs,
Yeah,
you don't have a company. Like you gotta shut it down.
yeah. Amazing. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was pretty cool. If anyone wants to know more about Kiese, where should they go? What's your website?
Yeah, they can go on www.kiesetechnologies.com, or you can go on our LinkedIn page as well. Just type in Kiese Technologies and you can find all the information. Or you can reach out, yeah, and you can just you see my info there. You can just send me an email. I love to chat and hear about your problems if you're in BD or pre-con.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again next week.
All right, thanks,
Bye.
Roberto. Bye.